We all have a gift, and we're using our gift and we turned it into a business, but to serve others. So for me, I love hearing back, hey, you really helped me. I was lost and confused on this journey, but yeah, you really got it right. And I feel the clarity. I'm moving forward. I'm doing well in my business. I love that. I'd be lying if I said I didn't love that. And for me, then it's like, okay, if I'm not showing up, whether it's Clubhouse or Instagram or doing a live workshop, then I'm not serving the people who really can use my talent.
Welcome to Two VAs and a Mic, your guide to making money and serving your community. In our podcast, we'll help you learn about the journey of monetizing your skills and providing your services professionally, all from the comfort of your home.
We also will talk to our business owners, authors, writers, CEOs, and solopreneurs who may use or benefit from using a VA in their business. Boil all that down to two VAs and a mic, and then mix them together with two different perspectives, flared with expertise.
What do you get? Shauntá Harris, founder of Shauntá's VA, LLC.
And Lovelee Brooks, founder of Lovelee Occasions and Etc., LLC.
Good morning. Good morning. I know we said our good mornings, but I'll go ahead and get started with just the beginning. Hello, and welcome to the room where we are talking about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. This room is hosted by the Virtual Assistants Alliance Club, where we talk about all things virtual assisting to encourage, educate, and inspire with our tips, tricks, and experiences to elevate any and all VAs on this journey. If you are not already a member of this club, please click on the little green house at the very top. My name is Lovelee Brooks, and I am the founder of Lovelee Occasions and Etc., a virtual assistant agency where we specialize in operations and launch support, where we alleviate the business owners from back-end day-to-day management so they can focus on their zone of genius and scaling their business. I am also a coach for new and inspiring virtual assistants. I help them build sustainable, thriving virtual assistant careers. And I also want to take a moment to introduce the other moderators.
Good morning. My name is Shauntá Harris. I am the founder of Shauntá's VA, and I specialize in newsletters and blogs, privacy policy, and low content books.
Awesome. Make sure that you're following any of the participants on the stage at any time as we drop these gems to enrich your business with our resources and shared experiences. And Shauntá was just mentioning about the chat feature. Have you actually used it in other rooms?
I did. Actually, I used it yesterday, I think, during town hall just to see how it worked. And of course, being in town hall, it was congested all the time. Not in a bad way, but you'll get the little notification that I have like a little red circle. Every time a new message was put by someone, it'll let you know how many conversations basically are happening at a time.
Okay. I haven't actually played with it too much, but I did see it, and several people over the weekend in different rooms did mention it as well. So I thought that was interesting. Now I just want to go over a few housekeeping rules before we get started, and then we'll jump into our topic today, which I have to admit, I'm kind of excited about this topic. So we encourage anyone to come up to the stage for questions or comments, and also to share your experiences and value. Respect everyone's time. Please keep your share to 2 to 3 minutes. And then let's be respectful of everyone's thoughts and opinions. It's okay if it differs, but we don't want to be disrespectful. And then I always like to be mindful how we give advice, or really we sharing our advice. And part of that is just saying, in my experience, or what I have seen that has worked for others. That way we're just not completely just discouraging somebody from maybe however they want to go forward with their business, because there are many different ways to skin the cat. So we're going to jump into our topic, Shauntá, which is about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I just thought this was a good topic because really it applies in so many different areas of our life that I don't think it's just a virtual assisting thing. If you have any type of business, if you're more of an introvert, and then if you're just comfortable, I think that's something we all just really don't necessarily want to do if we don't have to. So, Shauntá, I'll start with you and then I'll go into kind of my thoughts on that. And you can just kind of give us your overall thoughts on getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
It can be hard and intimidating. I had to get very comfortable being on stage because this is not my powerhouse. But each time we do a room, I get a little more uncomfortable and not my nerves aren't going as bad. So it could be a good thing for you to get comfortable. You know, a lot of doors will open if you just step out of your comfort zone. If you stay where you are, you're going to be stagnant. There's no room for growth. So getting comfortable being uncomfortable can be a good thing. And it's a great challenge to have for yourself so that you can help yourself move to the next level that you would like to be.
Completely agree. So when I think about this, I go all the way back to just even when I was thinking about taking that plunge to create my business, period. And I remember, and I am not a very emotional person, but I remember when I decided I was really going to go all in and I was really going to do this to the best of my ability and I was just going to go for it. I remember my stomach hurt so bad. And I remember
Yeah.
just getting nervous at just the idea of really doing it. So, one of the things that helped me, because I am more of a logical person, and I think we sometimes need to understand why do we feel this way. Anytime you're talking about something unknown, your body is going into a survival mode. And it is literally a survival mode of, helping you to survive. Fear is one of the things that we are all in some ways born with because it's there to help us preserve ourselves. If you're in the dark and you don't know where you're at and there may be a cliff, you're going to get fear. And you're supposed to because we're humans. And that is actually there to kind of tell us to turn around and get our butts back at home or wherever we need to be safe. And that is literally how we are wired. So fear is there to help preserve us, to help and keep us safe. So a lot of times when we feel scared and we feel nervous, it is because we don't feel safe. We're, in that perspective. So you do have to sit back and you have to understand that part because it may be a little bit easier because it doesn't go away. It doesn't really ever go away because I logically wired to feel that way. So I always have to sit down and ask myself, well, why do I feel nervous? Why do I feel scared? Why am I not wanting to go forward? Is this something that's really going to hurt my survival? In which, obviously, with a business, it's not. I mean, there's obviously things that I think we all think about, like, oh, what if we go all in and we lose it all, or it's not as successful? But that isn't the same as you're not here the next day. So we as humans are wired to have fear and to run the other way to our comfort zone for survival purposes. That won't ever go away. Doesn't matter. Have new opportunities and new growth. They still feel that as well. But what does happen, you can get a little bit more comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think really that just comes with practice. As Shauntá had mentioned, I'm not necessarily one that I always want to be speaking in front of people or I always want to have a room or always want to be face forward. And I'm always going to try to, if I do not have to go that route, then I'm going to try not to go that route first. But if I see that that doesn't work, then yes, you need to pivot. You need to try other things and go with that. So that's the first point that I really wanted to get into, is that it's natural for us to be nervous and scared and fearful of things of the unknown. So is there anything you want to add to that, Shauntá?
You just have to do it. I know when Clubhouse first started, I became a blogger for one of the blogs introducing people to Clubhouse. And that very first one, I was so nervous. I had to call my mom. My mom had to say, Shauntá, just push enter. Because I was so nervous. There was so many people that could have possibly read it. I had never really put anything out like that before. But once I did it, and I actually gained a few followers, it was a great and satisfying feeling. But when I tell you I was scared and nervous, I was very uncomfortable in the beginning. It was like you said, scary. However, I did it. And now I do blogs and I do newsletters, and because I became comfortable with it, it is something that is an accomplishment for me. So it just makes me progress forward, and I want to help other people do the same thing. Does that make sense?
It does. Actually, it really does. Because I know it's just very nerve-wracking when you're scared and it's a first-time experience. But again, like you said, you just have to do it. And then it gets easier with each time you do it. Now, with that, I will also say you don't want to get too comfortable with your new comfort zone. So it's kind of like once you made that first step to finally make that breakthrough of what you were kind of fearful of, you want to get comfortable, but then you're going to have another opportunity that's going to present itself that you're going to have to ask yourself, hey, now I'm nervous again because this is a new experience that I'm not very comfortable in. And that's really just how we grow. In general, that is how we grow. So when you look at people and they're too nervous to make those steps, they are actually in a stagnant state. And opportunities won't be coming in as plentiful as they can be. And that could be financial, it could be just to meeting other people who's going to be able to network you into other places. But it's so important to grab those opportunities as they come. And I do suggest that people take baby steps, because I'm not one that's going to be like, no, just go ahead and throw yourself in the pool and you're either going to sink or swim. Because I think if someone did that to me, I'd probably sink. But but you do want to take intentional baby steps to where you want to be. So just know that you're always going to be presented with opportunities for you to get a little bit more comfortable with actually being uncomfortable. So, Shauntá, going back into the conversation, I'm going to take it to a money, a money standpoint, because I try to be very mindful of where I want my business to go and grow. And you will get to a point where you may actually, in that place of stagnation, if you're not willing to become a little bit more comfortable with being uncomfortable, where you're actually going to stop the growth of your business financially as well. So there's plenty of different examples of that. One I will say is just sometimes even having doubt in what your skills are and what you bring to the table will kind of keep you from either asking for what it is that you need to ask for. Sometimes it will even keep you from taking the role altogether because maybe you're not comfortable with the role. And it's not because you can't do it, you just maybe haven't done it enough where you feel like you're validated to take that role. So even though we've been talking about becoming more comfortable with being maybe face forward, because Clubhouse in itself is one that I think we both had to get comfortable with. And we're not all the way completely there, but definitely with practice, it's becoming a lot easier. But it can definitely show up in other ways as well. As simple as just, are you going to be able to take a role that maybe you're not quite as comfortable with having? So, what are your thoughts on that, Shauntá?
This is perfect. I last night sent a proposal over with the highest price I've ever sent a potential client. It was a little uncomfortable, the number, but I also know what the potential client needs. And I know how much time it's going to take. And I know what kind of strategy. So even though this particular role I haven't packaged previously, I know everything that has to go with it. My uncomfortableness was with the pricing, as you stated. That can, especially in this virtual world, can be very competitive and very overwhelming, but you do have to know your worth. So I know that myself, and I'm sure there's other people out there who has to get comfortable with knowing, you know what, I can do this. This is the price that I'm going to stick with. You know, you got to have your boundaries, as we stated in our last week. But the pricing is big. That can be very, very uncomfortable when you send a proposal. But you just have to go ahead and do it and know that your skills, you're qualified for it.
Awesome. That's so exciting. And that is very true. I know when I probably sent my very first high ticket proposal, I was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable, honestly, even saying it, which is horrible because,
Right.
if you're not comfortable with what you're asking, then that's already going to be a problem because then they're like, well, if you're not confident in it, you can't make someone else confident. But I was very uncomfortable. I still remember that day. It turned into really a whole negotiation. So I was just uncomfortable probably for a good 15, 20 minutes. But again, I also knew that's what it should be, that I was going to give that value. And, once I got in there and I'm doing the work, I know I did not shortchange myself. And I think it also pushes you to make sure that you're doing everything that you can over and beyond as well to give to your clients. Because if someone came to you and they're asking for a certain amount, then you're going to have higher expectations for that price point because we all want to make sure we're receiving what it is that we're asking for. So it is a two-way street. You have to make sure, again, that you're analyzing why you're uncomfortable and take those steps to make sure that you can do this and that it's going to be valuable for the other person. And we can take that back to also being present, like on Clubhouse and Instagram and Reels and boot camps, workshops. I also look at it, one thing that I've learned from a lot of my different mentors or different entrepreneurial people is that we all have a gift. And this is kind of like a universal theme that I've gotten from several different people, but we all have a gift and we're using our gift and we turned it into a business, but to serve others. So for me, I love hearing back, hey, you really helped me. I was lost and confused on this journey, but yeah, you really got it right. And I feel the clarity. I'm moving forward. I'm doing well in my business. I love that. I'd be lying if I said I didn't love that. And for me, then it's like, okay, if I'm not showing up, whether it's a Clubhouse or Instagram or doing a live workshop, then I'm not serving the people who really can use my talent and that can really use my gift. And it's the same way even with the entrepreneurs that uses my virtual assistant agency. Same thing. There are people out there who definitely need lovely occasions and etc. But they don't know I exist if I'm going to stay in my bubble. They just don't know. And I know I can help them. I know I can help get all of their back end organized so they can live the entrepreneurial life that they truly want to live. Because realistic, most of us, when we get into having our own business, we don't want to feel burnt out. We don't want to feel wore out. And we want to scale. We want to make money from it. So I know that my ideal client, they're out there and they're just perfect for me and me only, but they don't know me unless I am putting myself out there. So you can look at it in both ways, but either way, in order for us to serve, for me, those things are uncomfortable, but I have to make those steps. So whether it means, hey, I'm asking for such and such amount, that's uncomfortable. This is an uncomfortable conversation. Or it's, hey, let me show everybody where I'm at and what I do, and let me do it with purpose because I really do feel like this is a gift that was given to me, and this is the way for people to find me. You're going to get in those uncomfortable situations all the time. I think when you're a business owner, they just don't go away. So what's your thoughts on that, Shauntá?
I agree. You definitely have to show up. But my question to you is, what steps have you taken to help you become more comfortable as far as showing up? I know in the beginning, it was hard for me to show up because I wasn't confident in my social media strategy, but I was never a social media type of a person. However, for my business to survive and thrive, I know that I have to show up. So is there any tips that you have for individuals who are there now as far as not showing up, not putting your work out there for people to see you, for people to get to know that, yes, this person has a service that I need, and the way that they show up, I can put my trust into them. Does that make sense? So what tips would you have for someone?
Well, that's interesting. For me, a lot of it is not just showing up, but then being consistent as well, right? So this goes back to the baby steps for me, like showing my face on Instagram. I started because I had a mentor and she challenged me to a 30-day reel challenge. And you'll still see people do that. And I just said, okay, I'm going to do it. So that's how that kind of started. And I will say it took a while. It took a long while. But like now, today, I'm very comfortable making reels. I actually even halfway like making, but I didn't when I first started at all. And a lot of that too goes back into self-limiting beliefs, where it's just like, oh my gosh, everyone's going to be looking at me. Everybody ain't looking at my reels. I'm pushing my reels so people can't look. They ain't looking at my reels like that. And then I look at other people's reels. Sometimes I have my hair bonnet still on, and then some days I have on full-fledged makeup. So it used to be too like how I look. But I mean, nobody. The funny thing is, we are our worst critics. We're gonna sit here and we're gonna judge how we look, and oh my gosh, that one little piece is out of the way, and this and that, because we're just hard on ourselves and we have high expectations of ourselves. And I'm not sure if that's necessarily a bad thing, but there does come a point where you just have to do it. Action over perfection, point blank, period. So that is one thing. And then I have little baby steps. So if I was focusing on just being more visible on Instagram, and I decided to do that with Reels, then I pushed myself to do the consistent 30 days, because with practice, it gets more comfortable. It does. Have clients and you build up, and they want you to do certain things, or they want you to take a certain price, and you have to have those uncomfortable conversations. They start to become more comfortable with saying the uncomfortable, because this is not your first time being uncomfortable. It's not your second time being uncomfortable and having to tell someone, hey, I understand, I appreciate, but this is what it is. And that even goes to like, even when you have a team, I mean, you're going to have uncomfortable conversations because that's just how it is. And as you get the practice I'm not going to say you look forward to having those conversations, because you don't. You just become more comfortable with the feeling of being uncomfortable. So you're able to have them like, okay, I know this person's probably going to have a negotiation, and you're still uncomfortable, but you're like, okay, let's do this, instead of, oh my gosh, I hope they don't ask to speak to me on a Zoom call. you know, or just type it back in a letter, So there's a difference there. So I never want to tell anyone that feeling goes away. It doesn't go away. You just practice, get more comfortable with becoming uncomfortable, saying things you don't really want to say, hearing things you don't really want to hear, and making choices that maybe you prefer not to. But you kind of know you have to get to the other side. And with that, I will also say I'm really big into investing in yourself. I am. My mentor was the one who kind of pushed me to do that. And did I want to do that? No. But it helped get that ball rolling. And if she didn't push me to do little baby steps outside of my comfort zone, I would still be in my comfort zone, most likely. So it's very important. Can you do those things on your own? You can. But let's be realistic. If you were going to do them on your own, you would have already done them. So you're paying for a person to encourage you and to kind of push you in ways that you really don't want to be pushed, but maybe you know you need to. But you're like, hey, I'm not paying this person for nothing. So let me do and try their way and their guidance, and let me see how that works. And when you take those steps, then you get some really good outcomes in most cases, or at least for me, I did, because my mentor was also the one who would assist me on pricing. So when I did like my very first ticket, high ticket proposal, you know, I was able to borrow some of her confidence, because I'm like, that's crazy. But,
Right.
I'm gonna just keep it real. She was making the money that I would have loved to make. So I'm gonna follow in her footsteps, and not necessarily in footsteps that I personally think I want to do. Because then you start realizing that's how they got there. Do I want to be where I'm at, or do I want to grow and move forward closer to where someone's, where they're at? So, and do you have any tips, Shauntá?
My tip is just do it. Close your eyes, let your heart beat fast, and shake your hand shake, and push the enter button to submit whatever it is that you are going to submit. In order to succeed, like my quote says in my bio, you need ignorance and confidence. To me, the ignorance is the uncomfortableness, because it's the unknown. You don't know what the reply is going to be. You don't know if they're going to actually like what you have to offer, but you have to be confident within yourself to go ahead and do it, even though it's uncomfortable. I love the fact that you talked about your coach. Man, I was uncomfortable when I got my coach. We know this. Like, it took me a while to get a coach, because one, I didn't understand why I needed somebody to tell me what to do. My perspective of the whole thing is completely different now that I have a coach and I have completed whatever I needed to complete with her. But it was very uncomfortable. One, I didn't want to give up that money. Okay. Two, you don't want anybody to come in and influence your ideas of how you want your business to go. But if you do not let go of that uncomfortableness of someone coming in to help assist you and to help your business grow, then you're going to stay where you are. So I had to learn to be comfortable with my own coach, because it was like, you're giving your information about your business, you're giving your information about your ideas, and it's so uncomfortable and overwhelming. But I got through it. And if she didn't push me the way that she did, I possibly wouldn't even be up here on Clubhouse talking, because it was something that I had to work on. So when I'm uncomfortable, I try my hardest to go towards that feeling, even though it's overwhelming. And then you'll surprise yourself. A lot of the times, Like you stated, it's our own self-limiting beliefs that doesn't get you to where you need to be or to have you stay uncomfortable. But if you walk towards it or just do it, the feeling's going to go away. And then, like you also stated, it's going to come back when you have to go and do something else new or a little bit out of the realm of what you are normally used to. And it's okay. Just go ahead, go for it, go do it and see what happens. You know, if you do fail, quote unquote, it's just a learning experience and for you to become comfortable again. So go ahead and try it again, but maybe a different way that you feel more comfortable. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Now, Shauntá, there's a few things I want to say out of what you just shared. I completely agree. And I remember when my coach came to me and approached me, I just wanted someone to give me advice, just, hey, and I was like, what? I gotta pay you for that? And I was the exact same way. But the results are incredible. Before I had my coach, I did not have an agency. I do have an agency now. I was able to scale. Now, I will say for me personally, I try not to lead with how much money I'm making because I do kind of hate when people's like, oh, well, I make six figures and this, and this. So I try to keep that off to the back end. However, I have a wonderful team of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I've had at least a consistent 4 for the past year. And just having a coach made a difference. Do I feel like I would be where I'm at now if I didn't have one? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And it doesn't always have to be a coach. It may just be if you feel like there's a certain issue that you have, get help, and yes, you have to pay for it because we're asking for people to pay for our services and products. I also find this very interesting that we can't sit here and keep asking for people to invest in us and our skills and what we bring to the table when we're not willing to do the same in reverse. And that's alone is a hard lesson because it's kind of like, I'm here to make money, not spend money. But I find that the flow comes from both. So you do have to invest in yourself so you can be the expert in what you do. So you can be polished in what you do. Because then that's where people get their value. There's tons of us who are doing the same, if not similar things. So what happens is you don't stand out. Right now I'm working with somebody on my pitch. So that is the opener. So you definitely want to make sure that you're able to get people hooked and keep them hooked. And then not only that, close. So that's it right there. You don't have to worry about still improving your skills if you can't get them at the front door. For me, I just look at different things that I know I feel like I want to improve on and I just go for it. Entrepreneurship is definitely all about risk. I'm not going to say all about risk, but there's a lot of risk involved, a lot of calculated risk. And that alone is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It just is. You never know. You don't know if you're going to necessarily, you don't know what tomorrow will bring. You want to make sure, of course, you can still pay your bills. You want to make sure that you're doing right by others. You want to make sure that the value you're given is easily seen. So, yeah, being an entrepreneur, it's nothing but calculated risk. So in order for you to move forward and in order for you to keep going, you do have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So back to just recapping about the tips, I also try to only focus on one thing at a time. So whatever I feel like that struggle is that I'm uncomfortable with, because I think sometimes we can sit down, we can come up with several things. I'm not comfortable with being face forward on social media. I'm not comfortable with having my own room in Clubhouse. I'm not comfortable with creating a workshop that's live. You can actually say all of those things, but I personally still think it's most effective when I work on one thing at a time. So I'm going to pick whatever I'm going to pick, and usually it's the smallest thing so I can move up, and I'm going to work on that first. If I feel like I need to get a coach to help me, push me along, I will. Sometimes you need a coach to help identify what it is that you're uncomfortable with, because sometimes you're not completely clear on that. So, yes, those would be my tips. So, I learn what I'm uncomfortable with, how it's going to affect me and my business, what has the greatest return and investment, because you don't want to not do something because you're not comfortable with doing it, but in all reality is also keeping your business from growing. So again, back to that. And then I just take those baby steps. I may give myself a time frame. Okay, for this 3 months, I'm only going to focus on this. For the next 3 months, I'm only going to focus on this. And just until I finish and I feel comfortable with it and I'm able to kind of take charge of that, then we'll keep working on it and then we'll add something else. And then as I'm doing all that, I'm also adding value to myself. And then I'm giving that back to my mentees and my clients. So that's how I look at that. What about you, Shauntá?
I agree with everything. My steps or tips I would suggest would just be go for it. You're always going to learn from it. Even if it doesn't go exactly according to the way that you want it to, you'll never know if you don't try. Just come out of your comfort zone and hope for the best.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, with kind of the closing kind of statements or, talking about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, I do want to just recap kind of some of the things we talked about. First, we talked about where your uncomfortableness comes from, that it's completely and totally natural. It is actually set up and wired within us to help keep us safe and in survival mode. But of course, some decisions aren't really about surviving. It's just more about I'm uncomfortable. And then we retreat back to our comfort zone. We also talked about how you can't grow and your business has problems growing if you are not able to step outside of your comfort zone. That's actually how you're going to grow. That's how your business is going to grow, is being uncomfortable. And then we last talked about some tips on what you can do to become more comfortable. Shantae's tip was just do it. That's nice, simple, and easy to the point. And then I also mentioned first you need to identify what is making you uncomfortable and think about the return on investment to get comfortable. How much are you going to bring in versus just doing whatever it is you need to do? You may need to get a coach or a mentor to help give you the clarity on what you are uncomfortable with, or to help kind of give you that push and accountability to become more comfortable with being uncomfortable. You don't have to just jump into the water. I mean, if you feel like you just want to jump into the pool, go for it. But I always say kind of make your baby steps and your plan to conquer it and just focus on that one step at a time. So those are the tips that we gave for talking about becoming more comfortable with being uncomfortable. So some of the things I wanted to just kind of close out on when we're talking about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, I want to talk about some experiences that Shauntá has. I'm going to give her a little share here time that what she has coming out and how that may not have been the most comfortable experience, and just kind of share that with us and the people who's going to listen to this on replay. What do you have going on right now, Shauntá?
Actually, I do have a book collaboration coming out on the 8th of March, which is International Women's Day. And that is a great project. I was very uncomfortable because this is a lot of FaceTime I will have to be on social media, but I am pushing through it and putting, my flyers and everything out there. So that is definitely in this topic of being uncomfortable, but it is a great experience. So thank you for putting that out there, Lovelee.
Of course, of course. So, the next time you have your book come out, then this will be a little bit easier, such as marketing for it and drawing people actually to the book, because you'll kind of be a pro. It won't be so nerve-wracking, hopefully.
Hopefully.
And speaking about things that we are doing, Lovely Occasions and Etc. is hosting Book Out VA Boot Camp. So I had to say that slow. And that's also it has been uncomfortable for me because now I have to do lives and talk to people face to face and get out there and market. So I think a lot of that uncomfortableness comes with the whole marketing thing. So it will be a challenge. It's going to be a Facebook group type challenge. So if it's something that you are interested in, if you are a new or aspiring virtual assistant, if you're already a virtual assistant, but maybe you're not booked out the way that you want to be, then I'm going to be dropping some very foundational tips on what you can do to become booked out, because I love being a virtual assistant, but it is not a hobby. It is my livelihood, and I really just want to help others who also want to make virtual assisting their livelihood. So you can pay your bills and you can work how you want to work and work around your schedule. I want to make sure that you have that and you're able to do that and not just come in and do a hobby. So realistically, I think I've said this earlier, there are plenty of gurus out in these internet streets. And hey, I've learned from several of them myself, but I know that there's a lot of people that maybe certain people don't really align with or are a good fit. So this is a perfect way to see if maybe you feel like you're aligned with myself and for you to just learn some tips on becoming booked out, because I do know there are a lot of virtual assistants who are stating they're having some issues finding some clients and getting the money and the income that they want on a consistent basis. So this is kind of that opener conversation of that. I would love for you guys, whoever is listening, if you feel like, hey, that's you're a little stressed out because you're not getting that consistent sustainability, then that is what I'm here for. I am here to help you create a profitable, sustainable, thriving virtual assistant career. So please stop by. You can always just reach me on Clubhouse and ask the DM Bootcamp, and I will give you the link so you can join. It is completely free, and I'll just be more than happy to hopefully see everybody's faces. So excited about that. We have a little bit less than 2 minutes. So are there any last thoughts or closing comments, Shauntá, you want to bring up?
I say enjoy being uncomfortable and just go for it, and it'll be okay.
Absolutely. I'm so with that, and it is nerve-wracking. I still get nerve-wracked in plenty of things, but I also know that those times that I've pushed through, it has paid off tenfold. So it's definitely not something that I have regretted to just get comfortable with being uncomfortable. To know more information about the book that Shauntá has coming out on March 8th, please make sure that you get with her. You can back channel her, message her on Clubhouse so you can get more information about the book. And then if you need any more information about that virtual assistant booked out boot camp, please make sure that you reach me. You can do that either on Instagram and you can DM bootcamp or you can just simply reach me on Clubhouse as well, and I'll be more than happy to give you that free registration. We will see you guys later.
Thank you for listening to Two VAs and a Mic.
I'm Shauntá Harris.
And I'm Lovelee Brooks. Until next time.
Peace.